Good evening. Friends, doctors, colleagues. As most of you know, I call you here tonight due to the upcoming election. The other day, I overheard a couple speaking on abortion, on the subject of pro-life and pro-choice, and I realized just how strong an issue this problem is to the voters. I also realized that I am not yet educated enough to stand firmly on one side or the other. That's why we're here tonight. So, the floor is open. Who would like to begin?
I will. I teach Catholic school across the street at St. Mary's, and the other day we had to discuss an issue relating to sexual intercourse. Today in class, we have to discuss a mandatory lesson involving involving all schools. All schools have to discuss this. We'll discuss it and then move on back to our lessons of the Gospel of John. Now, I'm aware of the life you juniors live in. I'm aware of the sexual content you see in the media. However, I have to discuss the importance of your chastity. Sex between an unmarried man and an unmarried woman is a mortal sin. You will be tempted by the media, by your classmates, and by the people on the streets. However, you must pray to the Virgin Mary to keep your chastity. Now, any questions before we move on? Yes, George?
Okay. So is this like how in the nurse's office there isn't that giant bowl of condoms?
Yes, that is precisely why. Yes, Lindy?
But what if you're in love and you're just too young to get married?
If two people are meant to get married, God will see to it that they are.
Oh, okay, but that's not it. What if a man and a woman are in love and they consent and they have sex? What's wrong with that?
Mind your manners, George. Sit down. Now, we call it making love because you're making love. You're making a family of love. If a man and a woman were to make a baby outside of marriage, they would not be making a family.
But that's not it. What if they do make a family, but the woman isn't ready to have it? She can get rid of it. George!
That is murder. That is the worst sin of all. Abortion is murder, George.
No, it isn't. My mother had an abortion when she was 16. Her mother wouldn't help and she couldn't raise it, so she had to.
Well, I pray for the soul of your mother and that of the child.
But that's not fair.
What isn't fair is that you would take the life of an innocent child. That is not what is fair. It goes against the basic 10 Commandments. If that confuses you, I suggest you refer to your notes.
But there are options, right?
Of course, child. There are always options. God gave us free will. But we must choose the moral path.
But what about sex that happens when a man rapes a woman?
James, that is vulgar and rude.
But it happens, and the woman has to have the child just because the Bible tells her she'll be sinning, even if she hates the child for reminding her of her abuser, or maybe she isn't financially ready to support the child at all.
I said there were choices.
But she didn't choose to have sex, so then why does she have to be punished?
Sit down, James. Now, there are always other options. There is never a reason to take the life of an innocent human being. If she cannot, for some reason, take care of the child in a manner respectable for the Lord, she can give it to an adoption agency. Now, we are through discussing this. If you have any more questions, you can talk to the deacon after school. We're going back to discussing the Gospel of John.
Thank you, sister. Would anyone else like to speak?
You know, I had a very similar situation once. This young woman came to me for help, and she wasn't sure of all of the legal requirements of about abortion versus an adoption.
Look, I just really need your help.
Okay, but there's not too much I can do for you. It is necessary for you to have legal consent over the matter, being that you are a minor.
I can't tell my parents. Who do I need to sign off on adoption papers?
It has to be a parent or guardian.
You're the lawyer, but I thought that you could help me. I never thought I would be in this situation.
All I can do is deal with the law matter of it. This is the real world. You have to decide for yourself.
There has to be somewhere where I can get some more personal advice.
I'm sorry I can't supply that for you. There's nothing else I can do for you. All I can do is deal with the law matter of it.
Could you maybe help me tell my parents, represent me in front of them?
I can't decide for you. It's an abortion or an adoption. There's nothing else I can do for you. Look, I have to get this. Here. This is a company that may be able to help you. Check them out.
It's always the most challenging when you're working with young girls. My most recent client was 17 years old.
Thank you for meeting me. I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do.
Well, you have a handful of options, and it's my job to make sure you become familiar with each one of them. I can advocate for you, but you need to make sure that the option you choose is the best fit for you. That's the most important. I have some literature you can look over, and it's crucial that you come to understand what each of these courses of action entail.
Inspirations and strategies for young mothers.
Abortion, a woman's right.
Considering adoption.
I'm sorry, I have another client coming at 4. We can set up a time to meet sometime next week. Please don't be afraid to take these with you. It was nice to meet you.
Being a young activist, I've encountered a similar situation. I recently tried to stop a young girl outside of an abortion clinic. Abortion is murder! 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 Excuse me, but it's important you hear what we have to say out here today.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
Abortion is murder, and you will always remember the child you never knew. Only God gives life. And if you kill your child, it's an opportunity that you'll never have the chance to know.
You don't understand.
Please listen. Abortion is murder! Abortion is murder!
Excuse me! 50 feet away from the premise, please! So, I see here that you think you would like an abortion. As a woman, you definitely have that as a choice. Now, this is the first thing in the procedure. After this, you would need to go through a few laboratory tests, a physical examination, and have to sign some forms. But anyway, when considering abortion, you have 3 choices, 2 of which are surgical, while the other one is a pill. And this pill will terminate an early pregnancy safely and effectively. So effectively so that 97 times out of 100, the pill will be successful. And after the pill has run its full course, you'll either talk with me or somebody else in the department, and they'll go over a last checkup and just to see how you're doing. Now, if you would like to take the surgical route, you have 2 choices. Aspiration or vacuum aspiration, which is most commonly used, or D&E, which stands for dilation and evacuation. Now, in both procedures, you will be given anesthetics to make you more comfortable and just relaxed, and also antibiotics to prevent infection. Now, in aspiration, a tube will be inserted through the cervix and into the uterus, and either a handheld suction device or a suction machine will gently enter the uterus. Now, in D&E, your cervix will need more time for prep, And during the procedure, your healthcare provider will inject some numbing medication into or near your cervix. And again, a suction device will gently empty your uterus. Now, both procedures are in and out type, typically lasting from 5 to 20 minutes, and both will require a 1-hour time for recovery. Come here, sit down. Look, these things are common. More than 1 out of 3 women in the United States before they turn 45 have an abortion. You've got your whole life ahead of you. And there are many pros to abortion. For example, you can contribute to stem cell research. Believe me, you're not the first young woman to walk through my doors. You have nothing to be ashamed of. So are you ready?
I'm sorry. I'm not ready to make this decision.
So many stories, sides, opinions, people I had no idea would be this difficult.
So, have you reached a decision, Senator?
Yes.
Dad, we have to talk.